our different Sakura programs, and you can see, again, very good consistency at week 4 and 6 around the primary efficacy, and then a really nice sort of curve over time where the shifting to the right shows the increase in the duration of effect. Plotted below that, and the other grouping of lines shows some of the reported data from competitor products, where again you can see sort of this novel and differentiated performance profile that we're excited to bring into the market once approved. Moving on to slide 19, we oftentimes get questions about how do you compare these from a dosing amount and a core active ingredient, and I think slide 19 does a really nice job of laying that out. What is difficult is that there's no standard dosing measurement, so each company has to come up with its own sort of LD50 study to determine dosing, and I liken it to kind of a beer analogy. I mean, there's no sort of standard for the amount of alcohol in a pint of beer. So if you get a pint of beer in Ireland versus a pint of beer in the U.S., they can be very different. And the same is with neuromodulators. So the standard dose unit is very different. What really matters is what's the amount of core active ingredient that you have. And so if you look at our glabellar lines program, we used 40 units of our product to get the desired result, which had 0.18 nanograms of core neurotoxin in there. If you look at one of the competitors, for example, Botox, in their glabellar lines program, they used 20 units. Again, sort of no comparison to units, but the same amount of core active neurotoxin in there. And despite the similarities in the core neurotoxin, we're seeing, again, a very differentiated profile. Moving on to slide 20. Right now, this represents the range of dermal filler or hyaluronic acid filler products that we have in the market. We were fortunate again to sign this partnership with Teoxane for the U.S. distribution rights because they've got the full range, RHA2, RHA3, and RHA4. And the difference between those is that they have sort of different levels of viscosity. Physicians or injectors then use those based on the depth of the injection, how much lift they want there to be, how much movement there's going to be with the skin. So it's a little bit more artistic in nature, but this gives them a range of choices that they can use to try and get the desired outcome. As I mentioned earlier, Teoxane has filed for the approval of RHA1, which is going to be indicated for perioral lines, really kind of superficial, fine lines, and we're excited about bringing that product into the market. On top of these products, they're also working on future innovations. They've also got a hyaluronic acid, a cosmeceutical line. So we feel that in addition to the products that we have out there today and currently on file with the FDA, that there's going to be a nice pipeline of innovation that's going to continue to come from that. Moving over to slide 21, since this is their first entry into the U.S. market, begs the question, how do these products perform outside of the U.S.? And if you look at how Teoxane's hyaluronic acid products perform in the top 5 EU markets, they've got about a 10% market share, which is particularly encouraging given the fact that they don't have a neurotoxin to partner with their filler line. Most of the other, all of the other larger players in the market are able to partner both a neuromodulator with their filler line. That gives them additional sort of leverage bundling capabilities, and I think it speaks to the quality of the product that they've been able to hold on and grow their business there. Moving over now to the HintMD FinTech platform, a little bit of kind of maybe background on that. As we were getting into the facial injectable market, we sort of felt like we wanted a filler line to partner with our neuromodulator product, and those are great companion products. It's the same rep calling on the same physician and oftentimes the same patient getting them. But the thing that we were lacking or missing was a kind of a services or patient loyalty piece, which the market has become accustomed to. And we feel like with this platform, we can not only sort of service the loyalty needs that the consumers and the physicians are looking for, but by becoming integrated into the overall payments platform within a practice, we can be integrated. We can pull data analytics for them. We can do things like subscription services. We can help integrate and streamline other loyalty programs. So there's a lot that we feel we can do there. And this is a trend that is happening in a lot of other industries. If you look, for example, at restaurants, they're migrating from kind of these payment platforms that just do nothing but process payments to those that are smart, integrated systems. Think of like the Clover device, where you have all of this information that can be used to help run a better and more efficient business. So we're encouraged with how we're starting there. As I mentioned earlier, we're annualizing now at about $200 million in annualized processing. So we're off to a really good start there. In terms of how we monetize it, we sit in the overall chain of credit card processing fees. So on average, credit card processing fees range from kind of 2.87 to 4.35. There's a number of different constituents that sit in that value chain. Where we sit is kind of in that middle layer where we have the ability to participate in kind of 50 to 100 basis points. We're early in that journey. We'll look to lean into that more later, particularly as we stand up other features. But we have some flexibility, whether we take that as revenue, whether we provide it to practices as a reward for leaning in with us more on the product side, and we'll continue to optimize that as we go forward. Moving to slide 24, if you look at the market opportunity, if you take an average practice size of around $1.7 million, there's about $56 billion in annualized, payment processing that's moving through the aesthetic channel in North America, in the U.S. And looking at that 50 to 100 basis point margin opportunity, it's a $500 million plus opportunity that's continuing to grow with the market size. Moving on now to slide 25 and talking about our therapeutic market. The therapeutic market is actually bigger than the aesthetic market. It's a $2.3 billion global market. If you take sort of cervical dystonia and spasticity and you put those together, the kind of the muscle movement category, that's the largest category. So we are looking through our clinical trials to participate in both of those. Chronic migraine is also a big portion of that market. It's about 12 approved therapeutic indications today for botulinum toxins, but yet there's hundreds of additional potential opportunities there. And so with our differentiated neuromodulator, we can continue to open up market opportunity as we invest in new indications and new markets. So we really like sort of the growth that this growth opportunity this provides us over time. Moving on to slide 27, cervical dystonia, about a $390 million global market treated by neurologists and movement specialists. Again, we're waiting for the open label safety study results to complete the filing. And then adult upper limb spasticity, again, we're looking forward to reporting out those results in Q1, which will lay the foundation for our phase 3 program. Slide 28, what you can see here is the results from our phase 3 cervical dystonia trial. Very encouraging, again, similar to our SECURE program. We saw very good efficacy results at sort of week 4, week 6, and then a very good duration profile. If you then turn to slide 29, I think this one is a very kind of noteworthy slide. In a lot of different pharmaceutical products, there's kind of a dose response. And what you've seen with some of the competitor products is that they can move duration a little bit by increasing the dose, but oftentimes it comes at the expense of additional